Okay, what I'd like to talk about today is similar to what I talked about last in terms of when I made my eagle. This is a koi fish, but I'm talking about, again, the four-dimensional world we live in and its asymmetry. This is a four-loop DNA opening as before, and I'm going to do different things with my left hand and my right hand as I did before, exactly the same. My thumb loop comes down through the index, my thumb loop goes up through the index, right, left, my thumb loop goes up through the index, and then down through the index, left, right. And this time, instead of doing a left dominant switch, I'm going to stick my index up through my middle finger and my middle finger up through my index. And I have that. And now I'm going to do exactly the same thing I did before, which is to finish with a four loop in a weak net. But as I'm doing so, I notice how tight it is getting the strings on my middle finger correctly done. But I persist and I drop and finish. And I have this little figure with big eyes on your side. Right there you can see the big eyes. And they tend to protrude. Now if I try to dress this figure just a little bit and pull that down and that up, and I can't do it very well, you can see, I would like for you to be able to see, but there is an asymmetry there. But what I'm more interested in than that is the fact that it tends to pop out that side. And we live with our biochemical world inside us in a system which is a buoyant, sluggish system at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a very precise kind of steady state which allows complex biochemical events to occur. And we have DNA which makes up what we are. Let me look at that figure, and I used an old, stiffer string, and you can see that it sticks out on that side, but what I am more interested in here is how it sticks up here and how this part right here is loose and how pulling it doesn't change that. And I still have this protrusion. And if I look at the back, you'll see that there's a little sac there. It's almost as if there's a mouth that opens up and a cage behind it. And those are the kinds of geometries which occur whenever you are making biochemicals out of a string of information, which is the DNA, and it folding in on itself and making a complex three-dimensional reality which has charges, electronic charges on it, so that they couple and they fit together that way. Let me look at that figure again, and you will see that this is still a stiff string, a little longer, and so you can see the way that it's put together, but again, it doesn't allow this outside information to affect that center. So once that center is in its position, it then is in a position to change. Let me show that same reality with an inappropriate string. This is a crocheted string made out of Parisian cotton, which is a little longer, softer. And again, I do exactly the same. Down, up, down, up, through, four loop, And there again, you can see that there is, but now you see how that hangs down, how loose that is. And what really happens is that you isolate parts of the system so that they can have plenipotentiary to find a locking system for the electronic charges to make the complex final form. At least that's the way I envision the complex biochemical reactions in our body. But it's interesting that that figure is so different from this figure I made the last time. Again, the same beginning. Oh my goodness, let's try it again. And slow it down so I do it perfectly, because one must always try to do these things accurately in order to have information that you can rely upon. And there we are, and for the figure to blossom. But this time, instead of being up and up, I'm going to left dominant switch, left dominant switch, and now I'm going to do my for loop. But this time the information is not shielded from the pressures from the outside, so it tends to blossom more perfectly. And since I have different information, it has a different picture entirely. And this particular picture, if I can turn this around so you can see what I see, is an American eagle. And that is essentially the same information with two very different things in the center of putting the complex figure together. But this is not a koi or a thing with an eye that bulges out towards you. It is an American eagle.